Donald Trump is a loose cannon. He is unpredictable. He says things that contradict each other, and even if he keeps his word, he also breaks his word. And for many of his critics, this is a reason why you shouldn't have voted for him. For many of his supporters, it's a reason why you should, because America's enemies, for example, don't know what's coming. Now, that would be a good thing if they don't know what's coming in the sense of, is it, an attack from the air or from the sea or from the land? But it's not such a good thing where you don't know what's coming in the sense of, is he going to go to war with our enemies or sacrifice America's allies to America's enemies? Some recent reports suggest that the latter is not impossible. There are reports. There was a report in the New York Times that Iranian officials met with Elon Musk, the Iranian ambassador to the UN, met with Musk. Elon Musk denies this. Elon Musk is scheduled to be a part of the Trump administration. So if it is true, it's a very big deal. And the New York Times, we're not fans, but th for them to report something like this without being close to certain is unlikely. Yeah, then again, for him to deny it is also questionable. So we don't know if this is true, but we do know that during the campaign, Trump, said he would back Israel, said he would let Israel win. He even since being elected said that on day one he will drop any embargoes. But he also, when he was speaking to a Muslim audience in Dearborn, Michigan, he said that he will end the suffering of the Palestinians as soon as possible. And um, if you ask me, that is not a noble goal. That is, the Palestinians should end their own suffering by, quitting their kill the Jews goal and action towards that goal. So this is another one of those moments that we talked about yesterday that we're going to have a lot of. We're going to have moments like we had a show about a few days ago with Trump's very excellent appointments to for Secretary of State, for Ambassador to Israel, others that could be good, and then of course very bad appointments like Tulsi Gabbard, like Matt Gaetz, like RFK Jr., who we talked about yesterday. Um, yeah, Welcome to the Daily Objective. Daniel, did this happen? If it happened, what was it? Did he say, just wanted to be gracious and let you know we're gonna bomb you to smithereens, or did he say, you know what? Yeah, we're not big fans of Israel. We're bigger fans of Tucker Carlson.
So, about the meeting itself, as you mentioned, if again, based on reports, if it happened, it was with the UN, Iran's UN ambassador to the UN. It is said they've talked about like different stuff, among them Iran's nuclear program, but nothing so far as we know, nothing came out of it, and um. So from my understanding, I haven't seen. I was looking at Elon Musk's X to see if he mentioned anything about it. I couldn't find, and he also tweets an insane amount. It's actually hard to like scroll through. How does a guy have time for that? But from my understanding, at least now, Trump's team itself didn't deny or confirm this meeting. So I'm not sure about that. Uh, and sort of just understanding why is this problematic. So again, you have to realize Elon Musk is no longer just like a private individual. If he goes into Trump's cabinet, he's a U.S. official with everything that comes with that. And among those, talking independently with foreign officials when you might let's say if he had Trump's approval, that's problematic because why are you even talking to the people, to the Iranians officials? And if he didn't approve it, then that's a problem because someone in your cabinet isn't independently just contacting foreign official, which is also problematic. And even if he wasn't part of Trump's cabinet, you also have to remember Elon Musk is a military contractor. He has deals with the Department of Defense through his company SpaceX, and there are regulations when it comes to sort of like talking with foreign officials, similar to how I think a few weeks ago or a few months ago there was a big story about Elon Musk talking to Putin. And again, I think that's probably a proper regulation if the US government has a deal with a specific US company when it comes to like actual defense, when you have like military secrets or something like that. I think it's proper to have a regulation about, yeah, don't talk, or you might give out information about the US defense. So there's that. And also the general idea. I mean, again, the reason, one of the reasons I like that Trump has been elected and not Harris is he should be stronger on these things. So if what comes out of the whole Iran thing is that we'll get some sort of like Iran's nuclear deal, then again, what was the point? I mean, of course, there are a few more other things, but this is one of the most important ones, at least to me, actually, dealing with America's enemies for once. Um, I have a few more things, but
Well, some people in the chat also have a few things. Best Monster says Tulsi Gabbard called for a return to the Iran nuclear deal at some point, and yeah, Davy Boy mentions Tulsi seems to prefer Russia over Ukraine and is more or less neutral regarding Israel. Birch Studio says, guys, Ukraine here, we are very nervous with all of this stuff. For both of us and Israel, we see it as one war. It absolutely is one war. The problem is nobody in the American mainstream of American politics sees it as one war and saw it as one war going in to the election. One side was pro-Ukraine and pro-Palestinian. The other side, the side that won, is seemingly pro-Israel and pro-Russia, which is, and yeah, negotiating a deal where Russia gets to keep anything that it won by force during the war is being pro-Russia. Just like negotiating a hostage deal with Hamas is being pro-Hamas. So yeah, this is this is scary. The scary stuff regarding Ukraine was already there, and this just adds scary stuff regarding Israel. Um, and you never know. Trump has this thing where he, calls people names. He called his new Secretary of State names when they were running against each other. He called the North Korean dictator names, which I'm not a fan, let's say, of the North Korean dictator, but that's not how you fight that war. And then he became BFFs with him and said how he respects, how his people respect him and admire him. Yeah, at the point of a gun, people will respect and admire anyone. So yeah, who knows what words Iran can whisper in his ear to convince him, actually, you're taking the wrong side here. There was some report that I saw recently that Iran, was going to respond to Israel's response to Iran's response to, and decided to hold off and wait to see if they can negotiate with Trump. That is not a good thing. And yeah, there was a comment here, I think by Gender Mapper.
I'm not sure what report you're referring to. I know there was one basically that Iran was planning to attack, and they wanted to wait until the election to not give better chances to Trump. I'm not sure if you're referring to a
No, I'm
separate.
referring to a different thing, which is after the election, there was, yeah, that I remember that report, but yeah, this is a more recent one. Look, Iran probably also would like an out. Like, they probably don't want another round where Israel hits harder than it did last time, even if it's not at the level that we would like. It's definitely more than Iran would like destroyed in their country at the moment. And of course, they would rather the war happen when they are ready to win it. So yeah, this could be just their excuse.
Yeah, I mean, sort of going back to Trump and Elon Musk, the biggest problem, and I think probably I'd say with both of them, I don't think either have really any like underlying principles to drive their I mean, specifically just talking about Trump, there is no like underlying principle. And I think something like actually destroying Iran or destroying Iran's either nuclear capabilities or basically just making sure Iran is not able to attack America so easily, either through its proxies or directly by itself. I think that's still something that's unpopular. That's something, another war in the Middle East is something the American people just simply do not want. Similar to even Israelis do not really want the destruction of Hamas. We are sort of living in this stage where, a lot of people simply do not cannot recognize basically what it takes to actually sort of live in peace. And when it comes to Trump, will he take the unpopular approach of actually doing something about Iran, or will he go for some sort of deal? He's the deal breaker. He bragged about the Abraham Accords. So he might just want another version of Abraham Accords or something similar to that. And similar to Russia, I think just to mention that, I think one maybe a bit nicer or sort of the reason why I'm a bit more optimistic there currently right now is from my understanding, Russia cannot afford peace right now, and it cannot afford just taking parts of Ukraine. Russia needs all of Ukraine. So I'd be surprised if we see some kind of a deal where Russia just takes some parts uh, and and even if that happens, Russia will declare war in a few years again because they need to. They cannot afford to just have the current situation that is right now. Um,
Yeah, and look, many leaders around the world who are not happy that Trump won understand that they're going to have to deal with him, or trying to figure out how to deal with him, knowing who he is, which is a negotiator, a deal maker, and Europe can do the same. Europe, NATO, whoever wants to side with Ukraine because they see the Russian threat could negotiate with Trump. Because Ukraine on its own doesn't have the negotiating power of Russia. Just saying this stuff pisses me off. But if Europe actually sides with Ukraine and says, "Look, here's what we're going to do for you," I don't know on what on what issue, but that could be a thing that could move him towards supporting Ukraine to some extent. But I'm not at all optimistic in that regard. Thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. Somebody in the chat says, "I'm sure Trump has some secrets tucked away. Maybe ask him, LOL." I don't know. I mean, I don't think Trump cares if anything comes out about him, considering the stuff that has come out, the stuff that people said Russia have about him in 2016 or 2020. We're not going to repeat it. It's a family show, but nothing hurts him, and he's not running again. Yeah, and I don't think it's going to hurt his future plans for after he leaves the White House. So I seriously doubt it.
Well, just one point about that that's interesting is something that I think Trump really cares about and is almost obsessed about is his legacy and sort of what he leaves. Even if you go to some of the January 6th sort of correspondence, Donald Trump Jr. has been talking to one of the officials, and basically what they mention is they didn't talk about, hey, Trump or Donald Trump the president needs to say something it doesn't hurt the American system or something like that. It was, this is tarnishing his legacy. We cannot allow that. If someone comes to him and says, "Do you really want to be the president that gives up Ukraine, or do you want to be the president that destroys Russia for once?" It's like, maybe I think I've heard him somewhere. Someone should just play to him Rocky 4, so he realizes Russians are the bad guys, and maybe he'll again be on the right side.
I remember seeing, I think it was an interview with him, I don't know, 20 years ago or something, around the time of The Apprentice, which I really enjoyed as a show, where he said they sold it to me as it's going to be like 30 minutes of work once a week, and then it ended up taking over my life or something like that. So yeah, sell it to him however you sell it to him. Just get him to to be on the side that America naturally should be on, which is very obviously Ukraine and very obviously Israel. Birch Studio also says that sucks because remember when Soviets invented the whole Palestinian spin to the story of Arafat. I mean, Russia, and that's the thing with Israel. Like we've done shows before October 7th, we did a show saying how shameful Israel's approach to the situation is. Instead of clearly taking the side of Ukraine, Israel is too afraid of what Russia will say. And what Russia says is that they are on the side of Hamas. They are very clearly on the side of the Palestinians. Israel, declaring that it stands with Ukraine is probably not going to get Russia attacking them. It might cause some trouble in Syria, but uh, I would do the right thing there and not be afraid of the consequences. Unfortunately, Israel is still not clearly enough on the side of Ukraine uh, after October 7th and after we saw where Russia stands. Best Monster says, "How can there be a regime change in North Korea?" I don't know. That's a I think there's so much going on there that we don't know. I sometimes go down the rabbit hole of watching the videos of people who did go there from the West and but even they there's not that much that they know of what's going on there. It doesn't seem like a place where there would be any movement rising up. So yeah, good question. Not good answer. Um,
Yeah, I mean, just something I quickly want to mention about like Elon Musk and Trump. It's oftentimes they do something that's problematic with Ukraine is I really don't think Republicans really want Ukraine to just fall. Similar to, I really don't think like Elon Musk or Donald Trump would like prefer it. It's just that's sort of because of how partisan politics are, that you can always have two sides. You almost never can have like Democrats and Republicans actually like agreeing on something. So you cannot have both of them on the side of Ukraine. One has to be sort of on the other side. So I sort of hope that they'll have a hard time because if even if you look at like Elon Musk actions, I think his like Starlink, he basically provided like I think free internet to all of Ukraine. Like he did a lot of like great things when it comes to the effort of Ukrainians. So I don't think he's necessarily like actually evil. It's just I think it's the problem with this like super partisan politics that yeah, basically you cannot have Democrat and Republican like agreeing on an issue.
Yeah. Elizabeth says Hamas asked Trump to end the war in Gaza. I mean, Trump has said that he'll end the war, and a spokeswoman of his, we talked about this a few days ago, said that what he meant by that is he wants Israel to end it by winning it, which is, of course, a sentiment we share. But as Race says, I remember the fire and fury comments towards North Korea, then it all just evaporated. Yeah. And that's the thing. Maybe he seriously means whatever he says, and then somebody with a different view talks to him, and then he seriously means the exact opposite of that. And that is a thing with Trump that I fear a lot. um Connie asks, who is Daniel? Where is he from? I'm afraid if we tell you, I can't even make such a joke
And
on the
someone said it in
stage.
the chat right after, so
Oh, really?
yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I actually didn't see it, but that great minds think alike. Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. Um, yeah, Daniel.
Uh, I mean, sort of just bringing back to the point about Iran and something I really, I really want from, I had my preferences when it came to like before the election, but now, Trump is in office. I want the best 4 years we can get out of that. And, something that has been talking about is something I think he even said before the election is basically that if he wins before he even takes office, he wants peace in Lebanon, basically, a ceasefire there. There are talks about it. There is apparently a deal on the table that he is fine with, and that deal includes, I think I had it here. That deal includes like immediate ceasefire, return of all residents of the south to their villages, meaning the Lebanese people, complete withdrawal of Israeli troops, and no amendment to the UN Security Council Resolution 1701, which was the status quo before this happened. And sort of like saying, okay, this is what I'm okay with, just because this will be the peace. We'll have peace during Trump's presidency. That's again one point either his supporters or he himself often brings up. There was no new wars under me. Um, so sort of this almost again obsession with peace in itself, without realizing, what does it take to actually have a long lasting peace and like a proper resolution. If the result, if like the one of the first things we'll get from Trump is peace with Hezbollah that will just return us to the status quo before, then again, that's pointless.
Yeah, and that's a thing I absolutely don't think is unique to Trump. It's a thing that leaders do. They are fine with, making choices that they know will cause great harm, as long as said harm is caused, under the watch of the next guy, and they can say, "Oh, well, if I was around, this would never have happened." I think this was what Netanyahu must have been thinking with his terrible policies towards the Palestinians for so many years, and it just so happened he was still around in October 7th. Maybe he also didn't believe that people will keep voting for him. So maybe timeline wise, he wasn't surprised that it happened. He's just surprised he's still there. Alex says Ukraine should stand with Israel instead of voting with them on the UN. Um, I look, yes, I would like to see Ukraine vote with Israel in the UN, but I understand this is a thing in politics. Unfortunately, yeah, it's a thing. Israel is siding with savages who are attacking Ukraine. Ukraine is still under this attack. Maybe they're not too keen on siding with Israel. It's unfortunate. I would love to see somebody break out of that mold and say, you know what? They're wrong in what they say about us, but we're not going to be wrong in what we say about them. But no, Israel, yeah, this is on Israel. Like this started um, before October 7th. And anyway, Daniel.
I mean, just a few more words about Iran. Something, when this came out about reportedly Elon Musk talking to the Iran's ambassador to the UN. Few things were sort of like mentioned again. Apparently, Iran is pretty much still like upset about the killing of Soleimani, which was done by Trump. So we'll see where we'll go from this. Um, but yeah, that's again, that's something really and now this is not plus or minus for Biden, but generally we knew what he's gonna do. We knew he's gonna stand against Israel, and pretty much I'm not sure if maybe the only surprise that was with Biden was relatively good response, like first 2 days after October 7. Basically, I think basically sending the and I'm trying to remember, basically sending a ship to the close to Hezbollah, basically saying, if you do something with if you try to attack right now, we'll get involved. But overall, we knew it was gonna be bad. And something with Trump that's really annoying is again, you don't know. It's always hard to predict, because you could say to me that in 1 year he was behind the destruction of Hezbollah and Hamas, basically allowing Israel to just go fully in, and maybe even something that has been thrown around, annexation of the West Bank, which if he managed to support that through, that would be like that would pretty much complete destruction of the Oslo Accords. That would be like an actual achievement. Or you
Yeah.
could tell me he would manage a peace and Hamas would keep existing or Hezbollah would keep existing, and I could accept that too. It's really hard to predict.
Yeah, I don't know how annexation of the West Bank will work without deportation of the people there, which I, support. But maybe they know something I don't. Some low-life piece of shit in the chat says right before I ban him, be sure and look up the lyrics to the hate song Maccabi Tel Aviv sings about their rival Hapoel Tel Aviv. Hang on. Okay, that person is now gone. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Look up songs Maccabi has about Hapoel. Look up songs Hapoel has about Maccabi. I know the lyrics to those songs. Look up the songs of any football fans anywhere, which does not justify necessarily all the songs, or not justify them at all. But what it absolutely does not justify is the Jew hunt that this person is. This person is specifically singling out Maccabi Tel Aviv fans because Nazis like him chose to hunt Jews because they knew they were in their city, so in their adopted city. So yeah, this is, and we've talked about this a lot. This has been the campaign since that Jew hunt, which was planned well in advance, well before any Maccabi fan arrived in Amsterdam, well before those songs in Hebrew were sang, and later on everybody told us that was the reason why the Jew hunt was justified and or didn't happen. So yeah, there are no football clubs in the world that I know of, or maybe there are some, but very few that don't have songs that people would find objectionable. But there are Jews in the world who get attacked, and many people at every time that this happens come out with a long list of reasons why this was justified, why this was the Jews' fault. This was true, as we said, in Kristallnacht. This was true, throughout the Holocaust. This was true in any instance of anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic attacks in the past. And it is true now, and you can read it and hear it, not from that guy in the chat anymore, but in many, many places.
Just quickly, I'll turn on my TDS for a second. Someone says his daughter and grandchildren are Jewish and also don't listen to the news, read his policies. So, Anthony Blinken was Jewish. If you have a family that's Jewish or if you are yourself Jewish, it doesn't give you some automatic knowledge about what is the proper solution or what is the proper US foreign policy to Israel or to Iran. It's unfortunately, well, maybe unfortunately, it just doesn't happen. And also about his policies, again, I don't think I haven't seen a single like actual policy. And when he talks, as you mentioned in Michigan, when he talks to Arabs, he says one thing, and when he talks to some other people, he says other thing. Like a recent statement came out from the Arabs groups that have supported Trump, basically expecting, okay, when are you gonna do the Gaza ceasefire deal? And it's like, and he appoints Marco Rubio as the Secretary of State. So I
Yeah, by
wish,
the way,
yeah.
yeah, no, go on. I have a different point.
Yeah, I wish there was like besides his, and even when he talks about tariffs, that I still have no idea what specifically he wants to implement. So I'd love to like criticize him and like judge him on policies. I just haven't heard any.
Yeah, I also don't know what tariffs he plans to implement. I do know that it's his favorite word in the English language, so that's not
I wonder
reassuring.
if he knows how to spell it.
Oh, I think he does. What's his face that we Dan Bilzerian, who we talked about a couple days ago, probably doesn't, although he also is a Trump supporter. So, um, yeah, we talked about things to do with a pogrom, and because it was around a football match, kind of football somehow made it to the headlines. Best Monster says Maccabi managed to make a draw with France. I have to correct you. It's not Maccabi, it's the Israeli national team. For for the people in France, and the people in Amsterdam, it's the same thing. There was some issues in the audience. Of course, there were protests for the Israeli national team. This is one of the greatest results in history. To tie away with the team that made it to the World Cup final in the last World Cup. But yeah, this is, I guess we're going to hear more and more when Israeli teams in different sports arrive in different places because wherever Jews go, as we know, so will anti-Semites, those who want to physically attack the Jews, and then not far behind them, those who will tell us why Jew hunts are Jews' fault. Parting thoughts?
Just quickly, someone says Daniel Trump has a positive record with Israel. Uh, I agree that to some extent, but we have to realize, similar to when we criticize Netanyahu, Netanyahu's government is definitely much better to whatever we would get from opposition. But still, Netanyahu's government is not good enough for what a proper response, what a proper government should do in that situation. And similarly, yes, Trump will definitely be better than Harris, but again, that doesn't absolve him of any criticism and asking him to do better or to be better or asking for a better government.
Best Monster says, I hate when people play the Jewish card. Finkelstein has been doing this for decades. Well, anti-Semitic Jews have to do it because they're anti-Semites in the same way that advocates of the Palestinians and their cause of exterminating the Jews have to occasionally say, and you'll see this in Owen Jones videos all the times. You'll see this from Mehdi Hassan. They'll make a point. They'll throw the word in genocide like every fourth word, like a teenager who suddenly is away from their parents and the teachers and can drop F-bombs, so does it, 5 times within a sentence. That's how Owen Jones, how frequently he mentions genocide, but not as frequently, but quite frequently, he will drop even Israeli member of parliament Ofer Kasif, or even Israeli organization B'Tselem has said blah blah blah, insert anti-Semitic trope. So yeah, this is a thing that is used often, and we will keep calling people out on that because we know exactly what they mean. Even if they have token Jews they dangle around to show us that they're not actually what we know they are.
Yeah, and it is really a projection because from their point of view and their view of the government should be like a complete state apparatus controlling everything. So, what do you mean Israel would allow a protest that criticize them, or what do you mean they would allow an organization that opposes them to actually exist? Yeah, that's what you get from liberal democracies. That's what you get when you have freedom. You have a right to imagine even criticize government.
Yeah, and Gil says what I didn't mention here, which is, or even Israeli newspaper Haaretz. Yeah, that's one of the main ones because they do come out with new stuff every day, as newspapers do. All right. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with the Daily Objective. See you then.